All right, y'all, here is the demonstration recording for the big and small photo edit assignment. Our learning targets today, we're going to be creating an original work by editing photographs destructively to make a scene with a focus on size and scale/proportion. Our 3 success criteria: I can insert an image and remove it from its background. I can transform an image to make it larger or smaller. And I can demonstrate understanding of scale/proportion in my work. So the first thing you're going to do is select and download a background photo from the Places stock image folder. So because most of the stock image websites are blocked for students via our firewall, I went ahead and put together a stock photo repository for you. So find an image that is a place and download that. For my example, I don't think the image that I used is actually in this folder, but I already have it downloaded, so that's already done. Next, you're going to select and download a subject photo from either the animals, and the one that I picked, I believe, is in here. It's going to be these elephants, or the people stock image photo. You can use either a person or an animal. So we are going to be creating a piece of artwork where we take a subject image, remove its background, and then scale it down or up so that it is unrealistically proportionate to the background. So in this example here, we have a tiny elephant, and in this example here, we have a giant butterfly. You can go either direction. All right. So step 1, download the 2 required photos. I already have them downloaded. Step 2, launch Photoshop. So I have here the finished version of the photo that I did. But I'm going to go ahead and start from scratch. So I am going to open. Yours will probably be in your downloads. I'm going to open the image that I want to use. And in this case, I'm looking for an image that has some bright light in it so that I can do a shadow later. That is not a requirement for this project, but I will put up a short second demonstration if you want to make the shadow yourself. So I've got my background layer. Now I'm going to go up to File, Place Embedded, and I'm going to find my subject photograph. Again, yours is probably in downloads. I already have all of the stock images downloaded to my machine. So I'm just looking for the correct folder, which is animals, and there are my elephants. So when you place an image, you have this bounding box with a cross through it and a reticle in the center. You don't need to do anything with this. You can either come up here and click the commit transform, or you can hit enter on your keyboard, and that will release that bounding box. Okay, so my goal here is I want to select just this elephant, and I want to put it on a new layer by itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by making sure that I have this selected. And you can see this no icon here. I can't do any editing on this because it is a smart object. We do not want to rasterize it. So we're going to click cancel. I'm going to move to my move tool so that we have something that won't trigger that message. And I'm going to come up to the select menu. and choose subject. So what select subject does is it uses analytical AI to select what it believes is the subject in your piece based on nearest neighbor colors. So if we look here, I'm going to zoom in, you can see that it has selected this elephant, some of this elephant, and also this tree here. So this is my current active selection. You can tell that something is an active selection by what we call marching ants. This is actually what Photoshop officially calls them, and that is this dotted line that moves along the outside of your selection. So I've got my marching ants around everything that's currently selected. Now, I can already tell by looking at my dotted ants, my marching ants here, that I have things selected that I don't want selected, and I have things that I am missing from my selection. For example, I want to make sure that this is selected and this is selected so that it is part of my elephant. But I don't want these other two elephants. I just want this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the quick selection tool. If we go up here, you can see that there's 3 settings for the quick selection tool: quick selection, add to selection, and subtract from selection. We're going to leave it on add to selection. And you can tell that it's on add to selection because there is a little plus sign in the reticle. So I want to add this part of the leg to my selection. So I'm just going to click and drag, and much like a brush, it's going to select what it thinks I want selected. Now, it selected something I didn't want because I don't want any of the background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold Alt or Option, which is going to change my reticle to a minus sign to let me know that it is subtracting. It's also going to change it up here. So if I hold Alt, you can see that that's changed. Now, if you just do big swaths, you're just going to be going back and forth. So one thing that I would suggest you do is do little clicks, little bit at a time. It's okay to have a little more than what you want, but you don't want to have less. Now, I actually don't want any of this elephant leg in here at all. Oh, that's way too much. Let's undo that. I'm going to be removing that from my selection like so. You can see that each time I click, Photoshop has to think about what I want it to do. Dang it, did it again. That's good enough. I don't need any of this. Oops, there we go. I do want this. I don't want any of that. I do want all of this and this. I don't want any of this elephant. I'm going to zoom out here, and holding my Alt key, just brush around to get rid of all of that selection I don't need. And then the last thing I'm going to get rid of is this tree, which is about the same color as the elephant, which is why Photoshop thinks that I wanted to select it. Okay, so I'm going to look at my selection. I've got this weird thing here. I'm going to deselect that. I've got a little bit too much of some things, but I can erase those later. I want to make sure that I have everything that I need. That's selected way too much. There we go. All right, that's pretty good. All right, now what I'm going to do is I am going to create a new layer that contains only the pixels that are inside of this selection on this layer. As far as I know, there's no menu option for this, so you're going to have to memorize it. It's Command J. And it looks like nothing happened, but if I go over here and hide this layer, you will see that I have cut my elephant out of its background. Now I've got a little bit of mess here and a little bit of mess around here. So I'm going to go in with my eraser tool and erase anything that's too distracting. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just kind of get it close. Get rid of any fuzzy bits or bits of the background that are still showing. You could spend a lot longer editing this to be totally accurate, but we are just going to kind of do our best here. Got a little bit of that elephant's back, none of the tree, a little bit over here. Okay. All right, so now I have an elephant. The next thing I'm going to do is I am going to resize my elephant by scaling it down. Could also scale it up if I wanted to, but for this example, I'm going to scale it down. I want to make my elephant about the size of a small dog. So I'm going to take this new layer that was made with Control J, and I'm going to name it Subject. And with this layer selected, I'm going to go up to Edit, Free Transform. You can see that there's also a shortcut, which is Command T. And what that's going to do is it's going to give me this bounding box. It's kind of similar to the one that you got when you placed your stuff, in that it's blue and it has 8 white boxes around it. This bounding box is going to allow us to transform our image. But I don't just want to squish him flat, and I don't want to guess at the size. What I want to do is I want to keep the elephant's proportions accurate. So I'm going to hold the Shift key. Shift, and I can click any of these, and I'm going to scale him down to the size that I want him to be. So proportionate to, let's say, the door. And then if I bring him forward, if we think about perspective, he might be a little bit bigger. And there we go. When I'm happy with my transformation, I can go up here to commit or hit enter on my keyboard. And there we have it. Tiny elephant. If I zoom in, you can see, you know, it's not fantastic. He's got some bits and pieces missing here and there, but at full size, it looks semi-convincing. For my example, I tried to choose light sources that were kind of matching. They're not quite matching because the sun is actually coming from the left and my elephant is actually facing to the right. So I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to go to Edit, and instead of Free Transform, I'm going to go to Transform, and I'm going to choose Flip Horizontal. And that is going to let my elephant match the light source much more accurately. Maybe I'll move him around so that he fits a little better. All right, and that is the big and small photo edit.